fill your company with more new clients, more new appointments, more new leads every single day without sacrificing your health, your family, or your relationships. Today is all about helping you grow from maybe where you're at. Maybe you're at 6 figures, you want to get to 7. Maybe you're at 7, you want to get to 8. Maybe you're at 8, you want to get to 10. Regardless of where you're at, our program today is all about lessons we've learned in helping our clients grow by over $1.2 billion in counting, and to help you fill your company with more new clients, more new appointments, more new leads every single day without sacrificing your health, your family, or your relationships. We've been fortunate to work with icons like some of these people that you see up here, Dean Graziosi, the founder of ESPN, Bill Rasmussen, Joe Polish. Our training agenda, which is on the screen now, our goal today for you is to help give you confidence where there's uncertainty, give you clarity where there might be some confusion, maybe a little bit of overwhelm, right? Give you control over chaos, especially as it relates to marketing and selling. Help give you simplicity over complexity. Help you live and be your bigger future. You're going to walk in this person today and a whole new person by the end of the day. So immediately helping you get more new clients, more new leads, more new appointments with a proven roadmap and system so you can have a chance to grow your business and it runs without you. In other words, what Dan Sullivan calls a self-managing company. Now, we could do that today in our 60 minutes or so, or 90 minutes, or whatever it ends up being. How many are in? Now, this slide got a little bit discombobulated, and the truth is, what I need from you is this focus on implementation, right? You don't need more new ideas. You probably need more new ideas like you need a dang hole in your head. What you need is implementation. So here's what my commitment is to you first. I'm going to give you my absolute very best of everything that we've been able to do, and we've got about 60 to 90 minutes to go through it. I'm going to give you my A game for you. Now, my question to you, can you bring your A game? If you can bring your A game today, can you type yes in the chat window, or A game, or however you might say that? I just want to see what we've got here. All right. So with that in mind, nothing hurts me and our team even more when we work with someone where they don't execute, where they don't implement, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? A couple things happen sometimes. Either, someone gets a gold brick and then they don't take action with it. Another person gets a gold brick, and what do? Is they catch the gold brick and then they fumble it. And then another person gets the gold brick and they take action, right? Action takers win, right? So my focus for you is to make sure that we can give you distinctions and real implementation here today that you can run with to go get more new leads, more new appointments and clients every day. Is that a deal? Does that sound good to everybody? Does that work for you? Would that make today valuable? Right? One of our clients who I've been fortunate enough to generate millions of dollars with over the years, Dean says, most people are focused on what they don't want in life. If you ask them, hey, what do you want? They go, oh, I know what I don't want. Most people are not very clear on what they want. So I hope that you're going to write down right now, what is something you want? Like, put a number in the chat window. Like, if you're wherever you're at, you want to add what to your business? 7 figures, 8 figures, 6 figures, 100 grand a month. I'd encourage you to write that down and get very specific on that tangible focus. All right. And I hope you agree. Now, let me speak to the elephant in the room, because there's all kinds of different people here today, right? And all kinds of, you might be questioning, going, is this for me? Is this not for me? Who is this for? Well, here's what I can tell you. It's not for the fat cats. It's not for the big brands in the world. It's not for the Apples of the world. It's not for the Nikes of the world and so on. It's for you if you're a bootstrap business owner, that you've been pretty much required to build a business out of cash flow, right? And grow it out of cash flow and growth, right? And here's also what we found, speaking to the elephant in the room. We have 99% of the people we've worked with over the decades have come to us and said, I'm suffering from marketing trauma. We'll just call it marketing trauma. If you can relate to this, type yes to the chat window. Marketing trauma. What is this? I worked with someone in my team and they just didn't cut it. They were an amateur. Or I worked with an agency and that didn't work. 99% of the people we end up working with worked with someone else, and many times, many others, and they went to others. And when those others effed it up, they come to us and we help clean it up, right? Another version of this is you know, a lot of people go, well, am I too small? Am I too big? Where am I? We did a report here recently. I had our accounting team review it. And our average client starting with us averaged between $63 and $227 a day in marketing. That's it. All the people you're going to hear about that we've worked with started in this range, 63 to 227. And here's the truth. If you don't have 63 to $227 a day to build and grow and market your business, you got bigger problems. You do. And you need to be the first person taking the most of those today, diving in, because if you can't afford 63 to $227 a day, how's that working? How's that, whatever you're doing, how's that working for you? We're going to help solve that today. So how this came to be for me, I grew up in the inner city of Detroit, kind of a rough town, rough area. And God bless my dad, he worked the lines. He was a blue collar guy, worked the lines at General Motors, but he was ambitious, maybe like all of us. And he started his first business. After he got laid off, he started a restaurant bar. And after a couple years, he had to close it down. We went bankrupt. We were on welfare. I was 10 years old at the time and being laughed at the grocery store aisle at Farmer Jack's, handing out welfare stamps. It was humiliating. And my dad regrouped. To his credit, he taught and showed us resilience. I don't know if you have people in your life that have done that for your parents or otherwise, but he showed us resilience. He regrouped for a couple years. And then he said, you know, I'm going to try a franchise, because a franchise, they'll give you a system for this. They'll give you a system. And so what did he do? He bought into a franchise. And he ran that business for a couple. I was 14 at the time, and very much a similar thing happened. Those businesses didn't work. And I got inspired because I wanted to help my family. And so I started my very first company as I stopped going to college in 1992 in my senior year. And I started growing companies. And after 10 years, I'd love to tell you that I was swimming in $100 bills and I was making billions and I was, you know, the next Elon Musk, and that I was flying to the moon and I was an astronaut and also became a doctor on top of it. But none of that would be true whatsoever. It was a train wreck. It was a mess. And I don't know what part of the journey you're in your first couple years. You're in your 3 to 7 years, 10 years or more. I've been doing this for 30 years now. But for me, in that first 10 years, it was a lot of roller coaster rides and rock bottoms. And that'll really take your temperature to see how serious you are about your commitment to business. Can learn more about someone's character in 5 minutes of adversity than we can when things are great. And especially we see this with marketing too. Chapter 2.0, I was fortunate to build an education company. We grew that business to somewhere over $20 million a year. We grew it from a volunteer in my den to ultimately grew to just over 175 employees and 3 offices across the country. And we worked with over 250,000 clients during that period of time. I started a second business, a media business, that we grew to 10,000 leads per day and over 1,500 buyers per week. And I was fortunate through this journey to then sell those businesses. These 8-figure companies, it became a gift. The pain of enduring certainly paid off in the long run with some sacrifices. And that leads to chapter 3.0, because after selling those couple companies, what ended up happening is many people came to us and me and said, hey, can you help me do what you did? Can you help me go from small to big and help set the stage? And even if they don't plan on selling, they just plan on exiting the day-to-day. Would you work with us one-to-one to help us solve our problems in business and marketing and sales? And we created what we have today. And I thought to myself, you know, what if we could create a step-by-step blueprint, a step-by-step roadmap, a step-by-step system to work with companies where we were aligned, that were eligible? Now, you might be asking yourself, what's our hidden agenda here today? We're going to invite you to move forward with us, but you've got to be eligible. That's just the way that it is. And we'll talk about that and some of the things, but here's the truth. Our portfolio of clients over the years has exceeded over 1.2 billion in growth. We've had clients who've built, grown, they've sold, they've prepared to go public. They've exited the day-to-day because we helped them build a system. And the definition, I forget where I learned this from, but a system is save yourself time, energy, money. Save yourself time, energy, money. That's what everything we're going to share with you is how to be able to do that in our short time here together. The results of that, for example, Jay Abraham. Jay says, you know what? Dan helps, he calls it SMB, small, medium-sized businesses, grow, increase, and turn around their profit picture. Now, if you don't know these names, no big deal. Some people consider Jay a legend and an icon in the industry, considering he was one of Tony Robbins' mentors. Also, Vern Harnish, who is a founder of EO and YEO, and his business partner, Daniel, in a company Growth Institute. They were struggling, hit a wall. They said, hey, can you help us? We helped grow their program by 4X and doubled their business in our work for a couple of years. Joe Polish, who runs an amazing community called Genius Network. Maybe you've heard of it. And if not, again, no big deal. But he wanted to grow that community and he was stuck. He hit a wall. And he was also the one doing most of the sales. And he said, I want to assist him. So we helped him 3X the business. We helped him go from 67 members. It may not sound like a lot, but considering it's a $25,000 program, and then also became a $100,000 a year program, that when he launched it, he had 20 people. You can do the math on this. We helped him grow exponentially. And in one of those chance encounters, working with Joe, got a chance to consult and work with Arianna Huffington. Now, you may love her, you may hate her, and there's all kinds of differences there for political reasons probably, and I'm not going to go into that. But when I shared with Arianna, when she heard my story, and we don't have time, I'll go into it later, about how there was a turning point for me where I ended up in a hospital for 4 days with a heart procedure. And that was really a huge driver of selling my companies and getting systems really dialed in to set the stage to sell. She said, Dan, you got to share your story. And that's one of the reasons, besides my family, that's a compelling and, just a powerful inspiration to be able to do this and help small business owners grow their profits. And that leads today to chapter 3.5, where we go beyond business. Because what's the meaning of it for you, right? What would happen for you if you could design your business, your ideal business, around what you want? Going back to that question, versus eliminating the things you don't want. For me, I'm fortunate to be married to this amazing best friend, business partner, and my wife. I'm a dad to these amazing kids here. I'm also a pop-up to a 3-year-old grandbaby. I've been fortunate, and Phil kind of mentioned in the opening, not only did I grow up playing youth sports in the inner city, which was a huge catalyst, but also I've been able to coach youth football, been able to coach high school football. And so from these humble beginnings, we've had media and experts say things like, secret weapon, kingmaker, all these different crazy things. And if you'd have told me that was possible a couple decades ago, I'd have probably laughed at you and said, you're crazy, you're out of your mind. Nothing special. I just put the work in, and I want to help save you the work. And I want you to imagine for you, what would it be like? Like if you were to wave a magic wand, in a year from now, 18 months from now, like what do you feel would have to happen for you to feel happy and satisfied with your growth as a business? Imagine having a steady flow of more new leads, more new appointments, more new clients coming in every single day. Imagine having a team running your business for you, where you could be working on it. You could be working on the things that move you in that business, not the things you feel pull you down, pull you back. And more importantly, that you could optimize your health. You could be your spouse's best friend or your family's best friend or those quality related or your kids, or not have to miss kids' games or things because you're on call, because you're the entrepreneur, the visionary, the creator. What would it be like in 18 months? What would have to happen for you? I hope you tune into that as we go, because today we're going to cover the step-by-step framework, which is the same framework that we use to grow a growth operating system over 1.2 billion in client results. We're going to help you get a new lens on marketing today, and understanding why old methods are actually failing and letting you down. And many experts are still teaching the same old stuff. We're also going to help you unlock the 5 numbers to freedom. These numbers are going to help give you absolute clarity, show you how to make advertising pay for itself, and we're going to share the core message framework, stop confusing and start connecting instantly with more qualified buyers in 30 seconds than most people do in a month. You're going to learn the 10-cent trust trigger, how to build massive authority, credibility at scale for pennies without going viral. In fact, we're going to show you a case study of one of our clients in a very old school, traditional business, manufacturing, how we help them get over 3.5 million views strategically for less than $5 a day. On this training, we're also going to show you how to ethically generate more ready-to-buy clients in the next 90 days than most people do all year. The event stacking method, the strategy inspired by Apple and Disney, the NFL, that turns events into 7-figure paydays. Days, weekends, longer if you want, right? See how to easily scale your winning campaigns 300 to 900% without big teams or big budgets. One of the common things we hear, Dan, how do I automate? Well, what's your foundation? Most people automate themselves right out of business. And I'm all for automation, but I built a $10 million company off an Excel spreadsheet. You don't need automation. You want it, but it's also, for most people, at least when we get under the hood of their car, it's a distraction and it's a crying shame. And we're going to cover some of that too. So time permitting, we have some other things we'll go over, but by the end of the session, you'll have more than just ideas here. You're going to have a clear, actionable blueprint designed for immediate impact. How does that sound like a plan for our time together today? Does that sound like a winning game plan? Yes? Can you type yes in the chat window if that sounds like a good game plan for you? I'm also using this as a little quick thing to get a little sip here of some green tea. Thank you. Now, why does this work so well? Hey, let's face it. Has your customer behavior changed in your market? I would say yes in our assessment. Also, why it works so well when we tune into this blueprint, when you're totally focused and you have the right lens and you're tuned into that target, you have clarity with your lead gen. You have a measurable ROI. You have a simplified marketing system. You have execution and implementation happening without requiring you. What would that be like? It sets the stage. You have a buyer's culture instead of a selling culture. In other words, they buy from you. They buy in, they buy more, they refer more, and also they become your biggest advocate. Now, here's the problem for you. The problem is there's a lot of outdated information. The most expensive information, the most expensive coaching, the most expensive masterminds are bad ones. Bad information, bad masterminds, bad coaching that don't move the needle. They don't focus on implementation in most of them. And most people end up stuck with fragmented tools, inconsistent and low quality leads, traffic costs because the algorithms are changing and not being able to keep up with that, inconsistent sales, low conversion, decreased engagement, and it lacks a system. Even worse, from a marketing point, have you ever heard that to get people to buy from you? Tell me yes in the chat window if you've heard this. To get people to buy from you, they must know you. What's the rest? They must know you. What else? Like you and trust you. Have you ever heard it? It's a lie. All these marketing experts have been teaching this nonsense for decades. They've been repeating something that it's so outdated. They don't need to know, like, and trust you. They need to know you, because if they don't know you, they ain't going to you. They need to respect you. They need to know you have the ability to solve a problem first. Then they have to trust that you have their best interest in mind and you can help them win safely. The byproduct of that usually becomes likability, but let me give you another example. Have you bought something in the last 30 days from somebody at any store you didn't know them enough to whether you liked them? You just walked in and paid and left? Or how about you did that online? You didn't talk to the person, you just bought it online. You didn't know them. Or I'm sorry, you didn't like them. You knew them, you had respect, and you trusted them. And it's Boulder Dash what's happening. And on top of that, there's an old school approach, and I'm just going to abbreviate because my writing's really bad, is there's direct response or digital marketing. And this has historically been known, digital marketing, direct marketing. It's tease, tease, tease. Give them the what, but don't give them the how. Sell, sell, sell. Make offers, offers, offers. And how's that working for most people? It makes you feel like a sleazy used car salesman, doesn't it? Who wants that in most cases? On the other side, people go, okay, well, let's do this other approach. Let's do branding. There's experts teaching this stuff. Go post 50, 60 times a day. Have you heard it? Or how about the one that says, just give, 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 give. And if you give enough, they'll just lay down like my dog Bear, and you can pet them on the belly and they'll hand you their black card and they'll move forward. And yet people put out all this stuff. And then you've heard stuff like, give value, give value, give valuable. No, I'm going to give you a big distinction here that brings this together. And I'm going to change the screen here and then come back to it. We call this direct response branding. We bring the best of those together, and we wrote the book on it. It's the new model for exponential business growth that allows small business owners like you, medium-sized business companies we consider under 10 million a year or less, to compete and play, even if you don't have big budgets, even if you don't have big teams, and you're going to put this stuff in place that it's like gasoline, it's like fuel on a fire. Direct response branding, measurable, responsible marketing, where you can be not just give value, you are valuable. Write that down. That's a huge little distinction. It's a 2-degree turn, but there's a big difference between just give value and being valuable. And I'm going to walk you through some of those principles here today. So the challenge is also, been doing this over 30-some years. There's over 60,000 hours of collected data here, building, running, managing, marketing in a way, and being able to serve it up in a way that you can use it. right? So I'm testing some new things today, just truth be told, because I looked at like, what do we see over the last several months of people struggling? I want to give you what we see. There's so much more beyond the short time we had together, but I want to pack a punch. So here's how we're going to do this. First of all, learn the foundation, learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like a real artist. Picasso, right? Brian Tracy had this to say about our principles. He says, Dan simplifies marketing with direct response branding. He gives you a step-by-step blueprint to follow, whether you're new or seasoned pro. Use it, apply it, and get ready to grow your business. At the end of the day, he's been teaching this for years. Working with pros saves you time and money. Your marketing, your advertising, and anybody you're working with in that should never cost you money. Done right. The only reason it wouldn't is the tracking, which we're going to cover. And so the question is, how do I build a system that brings in clients predictably without complexity and overwhelm? So let's walk through the step-by-step framework. There's 5 key pillars here. This is your operating system to be able to grow predictability, scalability without stress. So pillar number 1, vision and growth plan. You're going to replace guessing with clarity. You're also going to get clarity on your numbers, on your offer, and your messaging to drive profit. Pillar number 2, you're going to create connection campaigns. Go from invisible, if you've ever felt that way, or world's best kept secret, to a place where you systematically are building your following, your audience, your trust, and respect at scale for literally $1, a couple dollars a day. Pillar number 3, you build your list with lead machines. End the stress of inconsistent, low quality leads and not having a list that you can market to, because they're all out there. We're moving them internal. You build your list and build a list of engaged subscribers that you can build relationships with predictability. You go from unpredictable and inconsistent sales or relying just on referrals or word of mouth to a genuine, authentic way to easily grow your sales by being valuable. And that leads to pillar number 5, optimize, scale, and implement. Go from being stuck, managing everything on your shoulders, on your time, or you feel like your team can't keep up with you, or your team is just not at an A level, right? And you have a business that can run without you as a self-managed company, a team that can implement, so you can actually enjoy freedom in your role, being the one, the risk taker, the black sheep, the creator, the visionary. The growth operating system, mastery comes from all 5 of these pillars: the vision and growth plan, connection campaigns, lead machines, education-based events. So we're going to break these down. Mastery gives you the ability to go from feeling reactive, overwhelmed, and uncertain about where your next clients are coming from, to being confident, clear, and in control of your growth. And by the way, these 5 pillars are not just based on clients we've worked with. We've gone under the hood of over 5,000 other companies, including Apple, Nike, the biggest companies in the world, and a lot of other small companies like yours, to find what are the key traits that all of them that are having the most success are doing versus those that are not. And you have a system that brings you leads, appointments, and clients with more freedom, right? So let's dive into the vision and growth plan, your foundation for clarity and control. By the way, before we get into this first step, are you already learning some good stuff? Can I get a yes if you are already in the chat window? I'm also using that as a little bit of a thing here to just take a little sip. It's like 102 here in Arizona. I know no one's crying down the river for me. I know. So step 1, vision and growth. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Paul. Awesome. There's way more. Wait till you get into this. So vision and growth plan, your foundation for clarity and control, knowing the numbers and nailing your message. We're going to cover in this segment. I'm going to share with you how to unlock the 5 numbers to freedom, so you can see how to predictably grow and have your advertising pay for itself. How many would like that, by the way? Would you like to really know how to be able to track this stuff so you know if your advertising is working or not and not be in the dark anymore? And this also will help guarantee your profitability if you just manage off of these couple. Now, there's more, but again, taking 60,000 hours and compressing it down into the most important, right? There's important and most important, and these are some of the most important in the now. So why? Well, first, let's talk about your marketing rating. You know, we've had hundreds of people submit their ratings for us in these sessions, and the average walking in is 3.9. Now, I don't know what that translates for you in income, profitability, you know, at the end of the day, right? Because it's a little bit subjective. But as we go through this, my goal is to help you go from wherever you are. Maybe you were higher, maybe you were closer to a 10, but maybe you were lower, is to get you closer to a 10 today. And these 5 pillars will help you do that. Now, here's the other truth. You can't build a $10 million company on a $1 million plan. Maybe you feel trapped like, deep inside of you, you could be that bigger company. You just need the plan. You just need the execution, right? Same thing if you're at $1 million. You can't build $1 million business with a $300,000 plan. And it's no wonder why some people just get stuck. So the magic of measurement, Pearson's law. Pearson's law said that which is measured improves, that which is measured and reported improves exponentially. Yet a lot of people just don't know what to measure. And again, we're only going to cover 5 core numbers right now and a couple extra credit points. There's more, but these are some of the most critical. So 3 key numbers right off the bat define. Number 1, cost to acquire a client. Number 2, CFT, the cash flow today. In other words, the 30-day run from when they enroll. Number 3 is lifetime relationship value, we call it. Others call it lifetime value. The long-term relationship value of a client. Those are your 3 definitions. So as an example, Starbucks. Now, there's all kinds of mixed reports depending on which data sources you pull this from, but I don't know if you know this or not, but the cost to acquire a client for Starbucks for you and I to drink whatever we drink there is about $1,400 per person for a $5 drink on average. Now you go, how do they? Well, they know these numbers. See, they know that their lifetime relationship value is approximately $14,000. So Dan Kennedy said it best. One of my early mentors said, the person or companies who can outspend the competition are the ones who win. Now, how do you do this as a small business with small budgets and you're building it out of cash flow? We're going to show you. So their cost to acquire clients, $1,400. Their cash flow today in a month, again, depending on what data sources you look at, they estimate between $40 and $200 a month is the average person spends in Starbucks at this point. So here's the ratio. You want to look at your cost to acquire a client compared to your long-term relationship value. What does this show you? What does it give you? It shows you your long-term profitability for your ad spend or your marketing, right? Next, you want to compare your cost to acquire versus your cash flow today. We define cash flow today as the 30 days from when they enroll. So it shows the money you're making now. Now, you probably can start to see the puzzle come together and how it gives you optics and clarity. So for example, if we look at Starbucks again, their cost to acquire is $1,400. Their cash flow today, they're only $200 in a 30-day window on an average, and their average lifetime value is $14,000. So they have decisions to make when they're doing advertising, marketing, or any of the things that are associated, right? Because for every dollar they spend, they go upside down about $7 in the first 30 days. That's not an easy thing to do, but the most successful brands do that sort of thing. But again, we're going to show you how you don't have to and how you can optimize this to be flush in shorter order, right? And then of course, their long-term value is a 10-to-1 on the dollar they spend today, right? Or the cost to acquire. So where are you at in the process? So your goal, I'm just going to use Starbucks as this example. Let's say your cost to acquire is $1,400 per client.
Wow.
And here's the thing. You can argue this. You can arm wrestle it. You can go, I'm going to be the cheapest. And if you do that, you're probably going to be limited to your growth. I'll just say it that way politely. It's not a pathway to scale. If you want to grow, you want to really tune into these numbers and figure out ways to tune in. And it's not as complicated as you and I have been led to believe, which is why we break down the blueprint. So if your cost to acquire is $1,400, yours could be lower, could be higher, depending on the service, depending on the product. We've worked with clients in over 180 industries in 13 different countries, right? So it will vary, but your cash flow today the goal is to get it as flush as possible in the first 30 days. In this example, we're saying $1,400. And then if your lifetime value is $14,000, that means you've got a 1-to-1 cost to acquire to cash flow today, and you've got a 10-to-1 to the cost to acquire to your lifetime value. Now, my question to you is, you see this, hopefully I know I'm going kind of quick, but hopefully you see the power of this for you, right? Because how much could you scale and invest in your marketing and advertising with those numbers? How much? How many of you would want to put more money in the Play-Doh Fun Factory or in the thing and pull it, right? Just keep loading it in. And this is where you see some of the big names, where you hear about some of the big experts. Maybe you follow, maybe maybe in your industry, maybe you follow Starbucks or Apple. They're spending millions a month. They didn't start there. They started small and they grew up, but they have optics on this. And knowing these couple numbers, right? There's really, I helped you bundle 5 numbers, takes you from doubt, uncertainty, feeling in the dark, feeling in limbo, to giving you power on your marketing, investment and ultimately give you to a place where the ads can pay for themselves done right, and what we call the ROI to the fourth power. And the short version of it, we don't have time to go into it now. Maybe we'll go at the end of the segment and open up our Q&A, which will be a special segment and bonus for everybody. But ROI 4, we look at ROI as, not just the return on investment. That's very transactional. And it's only one level to play at. If you want to play level 4, 5, 10, then you add these other 3 levels. So it's return on implementation, because there can be great ideas, but it's so hard to implement. Then there's return on impact. Like, there's nothing worse than investing in people or things that just don't have an impact in the world. Like, I would not put, my financial dollars into like cigarettes, even though I know I could make money in the stock market because of the impact or negative impact, right? So, and again, I'm not here to give you my judgments or you decide what's right, but I would encourage you to go deeper than just transactional of return on investment, but look at return on implementation, return on impact, and then the return on the interaction of the experience. Because if you ever met people, it's just clumsy and awkward. Like, I'm a socially awkward kid from Detroit. Like, so I'm not a fit for everybody. That's just the truth. My intensity freaks a lot of people out. That's okay. There's plenty around. There's a lot of abundance and prosperity in the world, right? So extra credit, the benchmarks. So you also want to tune in, like, what's your cost per lead? If you're running campaigns online and you're generating like leads we'll talk about lead machines and examples of this. Cost per appointment. Let's say your whole model is to drive appointment models, consultations. You're in a service business or a coaching business or a consulting type business. What's the cost per appointment? The other one is cost per registration, like for events, trainings, master classes, challenges, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So again, as an example, if we go back to your business, let's say your cost to acquire a client is 500, your cash flow today is 500, and your lifetime relationship value, which we have clients, that's why we're using this one, won't mention the name of the client, but they're at 44,000. It's why they're scaling up their marketing, because we're very clear on what this is and what it isn't, right? Like one of our clients who we love is Greg and his wife, Kathy, who we're fortunate enough to work with. But short version, because we've helped build the scorecard, we've helped build these numbers just simply and intelligently. His business in our 18 plus months, he's grown 100% year over year in our work, plus a bunch of other things. Another client of ours in the medical space, which we dominate in the medical space, high cash value services. This is an example of one segment of the reporting in like a dashboard we've set up, but it's $52 for a conversion and generating $231,000 in revenue. How often do we want to put that in the cash machine, right? At the end of the day, it's so much easier to sleep at night when you know these numbers. It's tough. I've been there. Waking up at 1 a.m, wondering if I'm going to be able to cover payroll of $100,000 that week because of not having these kind of numbers, not knowing what's working, right? So a pro tip, if you have someone that you're working with that's accountable in your company, in marketing, right, in-house, or maybe they're an agency, send them an email and ask them these items. They should be able to tell you what are the approximate benchmarks for your industry to generate a lead, an appointment, and they'll probably need some info from you on the client side, but those two, they should be able to do like clockwork, right? So question, can you see how clarity with your scorecard and these couple numbers helps you win more predictably? If you can you type yes in the chat window? Again, I'm using part of it to just get a little sip here. And hydrate. Hydration's a good thing. Yes, Richard, Abigail, Paul, virtually everything. Awesome. Paul, great. Thank you. Awesome. Numbers. Truly, numbers can lie, by the way. You probably know this. You don't need me to tell you that, but numbers give you control and clarity. And now that we've covered that, here's what you should know. Your message creates connection or disconnection. So people buy from us when they feel understood. The big mistake that most people make is focusing on their thing and not the client's problem. So I'm going to walk you through a 5-step checklist here. The 5-step checklist is, what problem do you solve for your clients? What solution do you give your clients? And you want to think of it from 2 angles. Well, what do they gain and what do they eliminate in pain? Number 3 is, what emotion do you think through, like what emotion your clients feel at the different touch points of your relationship? Number 4 is, what's the meaning? Good way to answer whatever your message is put so you can. And we're going to give you an example here in just a second. And then, who specifically do you serve, right? If you serve everybody, you serve no one. If you serve a niche, you likely are going to be considered more like a specialist. and specialists have the ability to get paid more. And you still will attract people outside of that, by the way. That's also a hidden consequence sometimes. When you narrow down, you actually scale up and out. Now, we don't have time to go through the whole client journey, but our whole focus with you, for you, is to help get people to know you, get people to respect you, get people to trust you. And then we create a bridge so they just go, hey, Amanda, let's try this. Hey, Marie, let's try this. Hey, David, let's try this. And we get them to test it, and they're more buying in than you having to sell. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. So let's just recap this really quick. So what problem do you solve? This is pulled from a few of our different checklists that we work with. What problem do you solve for your clients? Are you clear on that? Right? Number two, what are the solutions? You know, as an example, this would be a move towards. You get, and then fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. What are the solutions? It might be we eliminate, we reduce, we cut out friction. One of our clients, Christy, eliminates anxiety in 10 minutes or less. That's a pretty good promise, right? Deeper, what are the emotional reasons why they want it? Are you really tuned in to the emotions of why they want it? You know, things like clarity, confidence, certainty, esteem, adventure, fun, freedom, significance, love, connection, growth, opportunity, making a difference, making an impact, contribution. What of those feeling? And there's more. You can go find them on this online, but I'm just riffing these. So 4, what would that mean for them? What would it give them? What would it do for them? Have you taken the time to really get clear on these? We see a lot of people miss this part. Who do you solve it for? Right? We're going to do a quick exercise. You ever been in an elevator? Someone asks you, what do you do, Amanda? What do you do, Marie? What do you do, Angela? What do you do, Abigail? And a lot of people just, they go into their elevator pitch. And I want to encourage you to make a slight 12-degree turn on. Next time someone asks you this, is instead of going into your thing, ask a question back. Ask a question back. Hey, Tracy, do you know how a lot of people struggle to get new appointments, leads, and clients daily and profitably? What we do is, and now you go into the rest. And so now the rest is here. You'd have your name. So I'm Dan Kuschell. I help who? Founders and CEOs of growth companies. What problem do we solve? Get more new appointments, leads, and clients profitably so they can grow their business without sacrificing their health, relationships, or their family. How simple is that? It's impossible to misunderstand. And the right person will do what? They'll lean in. So how about you? Right? How about you? Now, by the way, some of you I'm probably scrambling to keep up with how quick I go through this stuff. And that's my apology to this too. Phil, we ought to slow this down just a little bit in the future. But with that, here's what I would share with you. You certainly feel free to take pictures of these slides. Don't, charge other people for them or start distributing them. Use them for yourself. But if you want the slides, just send us a note at help@breakthrough3x. I'm a nice guy. I'm approachable, likable most of the time, unless you catch me on the wrong side of the bed, which does happen now and then. I'm a human being too, maybe like you. My imperfections, certainly my wife would say, are my imperfections. So if you want the slide, just send us a note at help@breakthrough3x and we'll get you the slide. So this process of flipping it and asking the question related to their problem, which we talked a lot about in this opening segment, gets people to lean in and helps you go from ignored, or maybe you feel invisible at times, to connecting with them instantly. And they won't even know why. They won't even be able to tell you why, Tracy. They won't even be able to tell you why, Amanda. They won't even be able to tell you why, Tim. They just feel something connected with you, right? And Anna, someone we love dearly. She's a huge mission to help eliminate addiction in the world. She believes that sugar is a huge catalyst to all addictions, and her company's on a big quest to be able to go do that. And, she said, we went from heading in the wrong direction. We worked to perfect our messaging, build our right audience. And in just 90 days, they added an extra 90 grand in revenue, which was taking them, like, I forget, Phil, if you remember, maybe you can. And it's probably not that important, but like 6 months. So mastering your numbers and messaging, right, is a foundation to build into. Right? Gives you clarity and confidence to scale. So my questions to you, are you committed to be able to operate with this kind of clarity around your numbers and messaging? Can you start to see how powerful this type of foundation is? If you can you type yes in the chat window? Or some other affirmative statement besides yes? Let's be creative here. We got a bunch of creative people that are with us, right? You're good, I meant. Oh, thank you, Tim. Abigail, thank you. Absolutely. If you want to use words like Shazam, got it. Sure. Virtually everything. Awesome. All right. So that takes us to our next key focus, create connection campaigns. So now we're here. We just finished this one, vision and growth plan. Now we're going to connection campaigns. This is where we turn cold audiences and strangers into warm prospects who know, respect, and trust you before you ever make an offer. Now, why connection campaigns? They build visibility. They build your audience. They build romance in advance because it is a human being business, not a business business. And this is something people forget. It builds trust. It shortens the sales cycle. You become a recognized expert. If you use the platforms properly, most of the platforms you can go on to and essentially be able to build connection for 2 to 10 cents per view for your perfect kind of clients, right? And there's 4 keys to be able to build these campaigns. Number 1, focus on one specific problem in what you put out there. Number 2, create a solution that hooks to that problem. Number 3, connect it to their core desires. The 3 main core desires that people want to tune into is something related to financial, make or save, health, make better or eliminate the pain. 3, relationships, love, connection, contribution. Next, deliver it with a clear message that tells potential clients what it's going to solve for them and then prove it, right? So now there's 7 types of different connection campaigns that you can do, and you don't need a Hollywood budget. Everyone here today could go do this afternoon as soon as we're done. So number 1, one of our favorites is you start with a problem and just offer a solution with content, written or video. Obviously, video is becoming very big, so if you want to lean into it, but it doesn't mean you even have to be on video because there's so many great tech tools today that you can do without you being on video if you want. Case studies. This is a big one that a lot of people are missing in their content, but case studies before and after that are valuable also. Show something, one main thing, call it a magic trick to a certain degree with a case study that becomes very powerful. Number 3 are interviews. And then you can put a little, it's called a boost on the different platforms, depending on which platform you're on, or it's a little bit of a paid budget, $1 to $3 to $5 a day. Social posts with a boost, video content with a boost, articles with a boost. Here's an example of the company I mentioned a little bit earlier, Joe. We call him Uncle Joe. He built a manufacturing company in the printing space. His digital marketing was virtually non-existent, right, Phil, when we got started. And he'd had an amazing reputation. He just wanted to level up his digital marketing and his direct response branding strategy. So we helped him create some content. And one of those, which is also a great one to do for you, is what makes you different. And as a case study, what makes you different, right? And show it, don't just tell it. So do show and tell, which is a great example, right? So Uncle Joe, we created a series of things, but one of these was a popular one. And the results with Joe and his company, without going viral, without big budgets or being a big brand, starting from scratch, we helped Uncle Joe get over 3.1 million views to his target market. Oh, and what happened next? Uncle Joe decided he wanted to sell his company. And it's one of many things, but it's a piece that certainly helped leverage to help him grow and sell his company. Now, you may never want to sell your company, but if he went from a dead scratch in a stale, non-digital, non-internet type business to 3.5 million views, getting digital assets, and then ultimately selling, what could you do? What could you do, right? So the takeaways here, connection campaigns transform cold outreach into systematic trust building at scale. You're creating an audience that values you before you ask them to buy. Think about how you'd like to buy. That's what we're re-engineering here. And a lot of people miss this step. Almost all small businesses, they try to jump right to the lead or right to the sale, and they miss this without building trust or romance in advance. So my question to you is, can you commit, Paul, to building trust? Amanda, can you commit to building more trust in your thing intentionally at scale? Do you see the power of being recognized as an authority, as trustworthy before the sale happens, and not rely on referrals for this? Referrals are great because a lot of this gets pre-set up. But what if you could just mimic it in a media model? That's what this is really giving you the ability to do. Can you start to see this? Can you see how this would work for you? Do you see how it's a powerful lever that most of your competition's too cheap and they're too lazy to do this? And they're following outdated tactics of posting 50 to 60 times a day manually. Provide value. No, be valuable. Shift the game. So now we're going to cover lead machines. Why lead machines? They create predictable lead flow. They build your list. They build new relationships, and they end the anxiety of worry of where your next clients are coming from. They create a predictable automated flow of qualified leads, giving you control. Is that what you want? Confidence, security over your business? And they look like this. If you think about those connection campaigns we talked about from the different platforms, plus your internal and other places, you would drive them to a page like this, a landing page. You've seen these before, so we're not going to put a lot of time into this. We're just going to cover some really valuable distinctions, though. Then you send them to a thank you page, and then you're going to follow up. But don't be lazy like a lot of your competitors. Go multi-dimensional instead of one-dimensional. What do I mean? Don't just rely on email. Work to incorporate text. Try to incorporate phone or voice broadcast. Try to incorporate remarketing ads, which literally for a couple dollars a day you can do and look big even when you're small. That's what lead machines and this opportunity and this journey process gives you, to move people through this process again, to go from unknown, especially with colder traffic, to become trusted, respected, and now, hey, I'm willing to try you, Tracy. I'm willing to try you, Angela, right? And now they buy into what you're doing. There's an example. Look at Kathy. Kathy is someone who's in a unique niche of a space where she works with parents of teens, right? And so this is a simple checklist that was put together: discover their color communication to better understand your teens. And this generated 573 leads at $9.98 per lead of basically people who've raised their hand and said, I'm interested. And now we go into those other mechanisms to create predictable growth, to do the follow-up, email, so on. Now there's 6 types of magnets that you can put in place that we found to be currently working now versus not. Maybe they were outdated years ago. So one is a case study. The case study solve one problem and showcase one example to go with that case study works really well. The free guide checklist, a free book or mini book, free one-to-one consultation, stop calling them strategy sessions, free tools and videos, and free education-based event. And it scales. Here's an example of one of our campaigns, one of our company campaigns, where we were able to generate in a couple days period between December 2nd and December 5th, the time that this was taken, we generated 17,000 leads in those few days. Hundreds of sales, as you can see here, and hundreds of upsells, right? So ideally, you start to see how these connect together like links in a chain, starting with your vision and growth plan, your connection campaigns, and then connecting to your lead machines, right? Connected to those other pillars in this process. Lead machines are your engine for consistent opportunity. They automate the process of attracting interested prospects, freeing you up from relying on referrals. Or maybe you feel like, oh my God, if I don't get referrals this month, I'm going to be struggling. I'm going to be sucking wind. Or maybe you feel like you have to do the chase and maybe take on clients you don't want to really take on because, well, I got to do this, right? So my question, are you committed to building a predictable engine with lead machines? If you are, can you type yes in the chat window? Can you see how this will help you? Linking and doing the linking of these things. Kathy, thank you. Awesome. Good. Virtually. Congratulations. Good. Can you feel the peace of mind also that can come when your pipeline is filled, when you have leads coming in, right? And that leads us to the 4th piece of the model, education-based conversion models. So we've covered the vision growth plan. We've covered connection. We've covered lead machines. Now we're on this 4th piece right here. We're going to walk through the Apple, Disney, and NFL method that produces 7- and 8-figure paydays that you can model for your business. Now, why education-based event models are so valuable is they combine the previous method, those links in the chain. It shortens the cycle. It allows you to be valuable driven, not just give value. Authentic and natural, not forced. It's a better user experience. It helps your perfect clients buy more done right, boost long-term value, get referrals, consistency. It's meaningful and memorable, and you can have a bigger impact with less stress. And you can be valuable with your events, your service in those events, and education, right? And these can be one-on-one kind of events, and they're one-to-many. We don't have time to break every nuance of this down, but ideally you start to see the bigger picture because companies like Apple, Disney, the NFL have used them, and you can use them too. You move from feeling like an awkward salesperson to confidently converting clients because of service and being valuable, right? And your expertise. It feels better for you when you do this right. You know what I'm talking about. you feel recharged in many ways because you get to help people like you, right? And it feels better for them too, right? Versus what, could be called the used car sales experience. So common types, and there's about 70 different types, but we're going to cover a couple here that are valuable and lead to an offer. Classes, webinars, live trainings, right? Demonstrations. This is a big one. The most successful infomercials in history have been built on a show and tell. My favorite class when I was in third grade. Challenges. Maybe that's why I do decent at this. Challenges, workshops and summits, video, content pages. Again, case studies too. Vern, good example. Vern Harnish, founder of EO. Why EO? His business partner, Daniel. Daniel was on the road a lot. And when we worked with them, we helped them. They hit a plateau of 100 and they just couldn't get past it. We stepped in and put these pieces in place we're talking about today, grew them to 450 people in their masterclass with Vern and others per class. And this is a multi-$1,000 class, not some $12 and $27 thing. It's like $3,000 to $5,000 per. So think about what that would mean. It doubled their business in our work with them. And it also got Daniel off the road. And, Daniel, in his own words, said we went from 100 to 450 and it more than doubled our business in a few years. And now what we've also found in the last 5 years is this event stacking method, counterintuitive to any other experts you're hearing from, works, and it works today, right? So here's what most people do. Whatever traffic they're running, they run to a landing page, then they run to a thank you page, and then they do the standard thing, and then they do a replay. You know this, right? Some version of a replay for 2 to 3 or 4 days. And we have found that we can increase results by 300 to 900%. We don't have time to break it down. Again, if you want the slides, we'll send it to you. But essentially, we extend the length of the experience, much like we'll call it the Netflix episode experience, right? And we've got things in a 14 to 17 day window of things in bite-sized chunks like replays, summaries, FAQs, key insights, and then a closeout sequence. And it extends it to create a better experience for your clients across the board. Now, why? Why did we test this about 5 years ago and we stumbled into something? I'd love to say, it was purposeful because we test all kinds of crazy things, but your best clients are busy. Many times they don't have time, or they'd love to, but they can't. But if you just do the thing and then the replay, it cuts them off. It cuts off your best clients. And again, they don't necessarily always have 2 hours, 3 hours to sit in on something. So what do? You then break it up into mini chunk, micro pieces, intentionally spread it out over a period of time, and they just need little morsels, don't they? Your best clients are good buyers. The best quality buyers in the world are that. They're great buyers. They know something is valuable when they see it. They don't need to be convinced. They just need to be shown. This is another demonstration of, if you walk out with anything in this segment, it's create a show and tell for about 14 to 17 days. Now, if you follow our blueprint, it'll probably be that much better. It's the Netflix approach. It engages them, even if they miss the event. Here's a fascinating statistic. Over 70% of the enrollments in that follow-up never saw the live, and they never saw the replay, but still bought or booked a consultation and then ultimately bought, right? It's created over 300. Give me a second here. A little technical glitch. Are y'all learning some good stuff here? Will I bring my screen back up? Give me a second. It's resetting. Can you see yourself putting these things in place? That's the key question I really have. Implement, execute. This is eye-opening. Well, I hope it's more than eye-opening for you, virtually everything. I hope it's also something you will take action on, because if you don't, what's the cost? Here's the truth. If you don't take action on some of this, for most people, they will be out of business in 12 to 18 months, right? So thank you, Bill. I appreciate, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're just getting to know each other. So thanks. So the results of this, when you put this in place, over 300 to 900% more growth. Here's a quick example. One of our clients had worked with the previous agent. They were stuck at 38 consultations a month. The old way, the way we just talked about, the old way. The new way we just showed you, they went from 38 appointments to 558, and we decreased their ad spend. Counterintuitive. We've seen this with sales, and again, we don't have time to go through all of these. Now, you might be saying, well, hey, Dan, I appreciate this. What if I'm more new in business, early stage, or I'm not a big name? I'm going to introduce you a story of Bruce. We met Bruce, good-hearted human being, artist, wanted to build a coaching program for people because he feels art's a way to have people get freedom. And so he was confused. He was involved in all kinds of tech, 4 different tech platforms, filing 19 different experts and programs. We said, hey, Bruce, can we just simplify? Long and the short of it, we took him from overwhelmed and confused and stuck. We helped him get 39 clients in 30 days and 117 clients in 90 days, and helped him build a recurring revenue during that period of $4,500 a month with this model we're talking about right now, right here, right now, right? This transforms your sales process, again, to get people to buy. It makes conversions more effective, maybe something more enjoyable for you and your clients, and it feels far more authentic. So my questions, are you committed to being valuable in your marketing and sales process and using these tools? And can you see how this approach creates better clients and a lot less stress and probably a lot more enjoyment? I hope you can start to see how you can have just a little bit more fun in your experience of building and growing your business, being valuable to people, right? Not trying to force value on them. There's a big difference. I hope you see the small little distinction of just that little statement. That leads us to step 5. Go deep, scale, optimize. So we've covered this vision and growth plan, connection campaigns, lead machines, education-based conversion events. Now we're talking about going deep. The way to create true leverage, long-term stability, and freedom by going deeper with your clients, transformationally, not just wide, transactionally. Now, why go deep? You know this. A buyer is a what? They're a buyer. A good buyer is a buyer. If you want more people to buy your stuff, hopefully you're a good buyer. If you're not a good buyer, you might want to look and say, oh, if people are resisting you, they're not buying your stuff, or they object to your prices, you might want to look in the mirror. A buyer is a buyer. The second sale in any business is an easier sale than the first. And we'll talk about some numbers in a second. Maximize the impact, deepen the relationship experience. They also refer, invest, and they become raving fans, and sometimes they'll even invest in your company. The fortune is going deep. 80% of your profits, you know this probably, come from 20% of your clients. And usually, here's the facts about conversion rates. At scale, not in isolation with little micro lists where people go, my conversion rate for my offer was 34%. That's a micro number. It's not the scaled number. The biggest experts in the world, we've got data. If I mention the names, you would know who they are. Their stats show that their conversion rates are between 0.05 and 5% regularly at the highest. And usually it's closer to 1 to 2.5%. Yet you've been sold a bill of goods. I've been sold a bill of goods. I still hear experts talking about this nonsense, and they set you and I and all of the people that are in their communities up to fail. Because then people do it and they're hitting the 2.5. Sometimes they're hitting the 3 and 4 and 5%, and they feel like a failure when they should be celebrating, going, oh my God, I'm crushing it. You don't know what you don't know. But what they're missing many times is then the follow-up, because here's the other part. 80% of the people that will buy from you need to have 20 follow-ups. 20 follow-ups. So why go deep? You go from transactional to transformational, impactful. It goes beyond you in the relationship. It becomes more self-managed, like Dr. Sachin. Sachin, if you were here earlier, the short video Phil that had played, he had hit a cap. Him and his wife felt like they were running the whole thing. In 4 months, we were able to help them match the income of their previous year in our work together. And it actually grew the business. I believe it was somewhere between 1.2 and 1.7 million in 120 days. Now, what would happen for you if you did more in 120 days and and maybe for you, that might be only a month, but for others of you, that might be like 3 years, right? Now, he's an action taker. The most successful people are action takers. So we were able to run together side by side in a co-pilot role to hit those kind of numbers. But more importantly for him, it freed him up to focus on being the driver. So how do you go deep? Here are some now there's more than this. There's way more than this. But again, go into the most critical that would help all of you today to just dimensionalize. How many different dimensions? Text. How many of you got a text from us for this event? If you did, type yes in the chat window, and I'm going to go one by one. How many of you got at least an email about coming to today? How about a phone call, a phone message? That was from me. It's not some AI. It was from me that was left for you. We didn't send out an email yet. If you're on our list and we work together, we do mailings about once every 3 to 4 months. And then we have regular events like this as well. So how many of these are you not doing? Right? So Google, I don't know if you know the Google rules. It says that you will increase your connection and conversion when people participate with you, Tracy, Participate with you, Michael. Participate with you, Angela. 7 hours, 11 interactions through 4 different platforms, right? And here's the thing, pure math, text messages, you get 3 to 5 times the open rate. Average open rate on emails about 20%, text messages are 3 to 5 times that. Plus, using multiple channels together allows you to stay present without overwhelming your clients. Do you ever feel like you're emailing too much? Do you ever feel like maybe people that you're on their list are emailing you a little too much? Well, what if you just sent one email, the next day you sent a voice message, the next day you sent a text, and then an email. So you had 4 communications and sent 2 emails, and yet it feels more authentic. And again, now I'm oversimplifying it. There's other mastery ways, but what you're looking to do is create an omnipresent effect, layer these for greater impact. Now, we don't have time because then you can also run ads to this. You can run a little display ad. You can run a remarketing or retargeting ad in different platforms. And there's a bunch of different platforms. So they start to feel like you, Tracy, you, Angela, you, Abigail, you, Michael, you're everywhere. Even though you still might be a very small business in the bigger picture of things for literally a couple bucks a day, right? So your clients feel connected to you and supported and dramatically boosting engagement, show up rates, and lifetime value, right? How we triple attendance rates pretty significantly is the average right now, by the way, this is a fact. Now, every industry will be a little bit different. Some are going to be higher and lower, and some of you might be better than the averages. But these are the averages industry-wide right now. Show-up rates on free trainings are 5 to 12%, right? So this particular client we just started working with, they had 719 registrations for an event we just did last week or a couple weeks ago. They had 280 people show up. It's a 29. That's almost 6x the show up rate. Do you think they made more sales? Well, the answer is yes. Get this. Down here, you can see in this little clip, out of the 280 that showed up, they had approximately 170 some people book calls for their offer. They can't buy from you if they don't engage. So there are some things you can do to get more and more people to engage. Are you doing them? We just showed you 5 or 6 different ways. If you opted in on our page, by the way, there was a little couple questions that help show up ratios. We don't have time to break all of the science of that down right this second, but they will help you get show. And if you get more people showing up, do you think you'd have a better chance to sell more? Do you think more people would buy your stuff? If you ever said to yourself, oh my gosh, if they just knew what I could do, if I could, but there's a disconnect. Help bridge the gap. Do everything in your power to set this, and you don't have to do a bunch of fancy pants automations. I ran a $10 million business off an Excel spreadsheet for years. You can do this. Now, if you get automated, but don't let that be the crutch that's holding you back, because it's not. You're in the human-to-human business, the people-to-people business, the belly-to-belly business. Go one-to-one, one-to-many, use them all to help you. Because this is about nurturing relationship, maximizing value, the key to sustainable growth and true freedom, right? And my question is, are you committed to be able to go deep with your relationship with people? And be imperfect at times, to have something mess up, right? And ideally, can you see how this creates not just more profit, but a more stable, growing business? Can you see that? If you can you type yes in the chat window, or Shazam, or right on, or amen, or something that, would be your power word? Yes, right? Amen. Amen. Thanks, Eric. Eric, good to see you, my man. Kathy says yes. Awesome. Now, ask yourself, if you put focus and intention in these critical areas we've covered today, do you think it's possible that you could add 1 to 5 new clients a month if you get these in place and implemented? Maybe even a week? Maybe even if you're a little bit more ambitious of an action taker, maybe 1 a day or 5 a day, or about 1 to 5 an hour. It's possible. We've covered, the vision and growth plan, connection campaigns, lead machines, education-based conversion events, and going deep here, right? And what would getting your marketing system dialed in with just these, and there's more, but just these pieces in place, what would it do for you? What would it mean for you? What did it give you? But here's the truth. Rome wasn't built in a what? You know the answer. What's the answer here? Type it in the chat window. What's the answer? Rome wasn't built in a day. I think it was Bill Gates who said most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10. Right? So with that, ideally, you're having a sense of relief here, a sense of excitement, a sense of enthusiasm. And you can kind of, this is from the Bad Boys movie, of course, USA. You can start to feel what that's like. And ideally, you feel in our short time together, this has been valuable, even if you used a small part of this, right? I think would it be a big step for you of moving forward, right? Now, again, I don't know what your rating would be in the process and how it translate with your marketing. If you were at the average, which the average mean, and the last several that we've done of these, we've got close to 1,000, is just under 3.9. So I don't know if you were higher than that, lower than that, and I also don't know how that translates to your financial situation. So whatever that is for you, it is for you. But here's the thing. I imagine if you really commit to these things, this would be a giant step forward to move closer to a 10, right? And just to look and clarify what we've been able to cover that we've given you access to. We've given you access to the 5-pillar growth operating system, the roadmap that we've used for our clients to help grow by over $1.2 billion and have a bigger impact in the world. We unlock the 5 numbers to freedom, giving you financial certainty and the power to make advertising pay for itself with those 5 numbers. We nailed the core message framework to help you connect instantly in any situation in about 30 seconds and be far more valuable to everyone you meet, which puts you in a position, right, to be the choice to do business with. We showed you the 10-cent trust trigger to connect, build trust, and a massive audience systematically, even if you're virtually unknown or a world's best kept secret. We've shown you how to use lead machines to create a predictable flow of high quality leads, ending roller coasters and ending the inconsistency for good. We've demonstrated the education-based conversion model and the event stacking method, the keys to selling with ease and more grace, and helping you boost conversions 300 to 900% without feeling like you have to become a used car salesman. We've shown you how to scale deep with multi-touch strategies so you can create leverage, stability, and freedom. In fact, we've laid out the blueprint to transform your business from potentially feeling stuck, maybe complex at times, or overwhelming, into a streamlined system for predictable growth that you're confidently in control of. My question is, has our time today so far been valuable? Has it been valuable? Can I get a yes or get acknowledgement or a affirmation in the window? Daddy wants to see a doggy in the window. So do you feel more confident, more clear, more empowered right now than maybe when you started this session? Can you really see how this, even getting pieces of it, right, put into action can give you a significant edge, right? Are you excited about what's possible when you operate with this kind of a 5-step proven roadmap? Now, all that being said, basically we have one of a couple choices. Here's what you can know about our journey so far, right? And if we look at this, one of the places that's, my wife and my favorite place is Hawaii. I don't know if you've been to Hawaii, but this image represents the road to Hana. Anybody been on the road to Hana? Anybody taken the drive on the road to Hana? I'm going to talk about the road to Hana here and how it correlates to your business here. So Dave is a yes. Mitch is a yes. Yep. Kevin's a yes. Yeah, great memories, right? Nick. And so the road to Hana, if you haven't done it, and I might have a little bit of the details off, and I'm doing this partly from memory in Maui, is when you do the road to Hana, it's like, it's only like 12 miles or whatever, but it takes you like 3 hours because the roads are just god awful. And it's not as wide as it looks right there. And it's very windy and it's like in and out. And literally off the side of the road, I know they put up new barriers in recent years, but different times we've been there, they didn't have barriers. And like, you could literally just like go off the cliff, right? And we see this a lot with business, right? And it kind of looks like this. If you think about the road to Hana, which takes you to paradise and you see these beautiful waterfalls. I don't remember all the names of them, but they're just spectacular. If you can picture these things off the side of literally volcanoes, they're just behemoths, and it's beautiful and it's decadent and it's rich. Maybe like what you want in your business. And the road to Hana is essentially, you got 3 paths. And wherever you're at today, you've got a choice. You can take this road and you can go to the road to Hana. right? You can go to the road to Hana. We can call this awesome. We could call this paradise. We could call this success, whatever that is for you. Oops. Paradise. And you could choose that road, right? And some people do. Some of you have, right? Separately. You could choose a different road. And you could choose to go at it on your own. You could choose to go at it alone. You could choose to, wing it. You could choose like, I'm not going to follow the road. I'm going to take these other roads, these little paths back here. And you might end up down the side of a cliff. Damaged, right? Or you could choose, you know what? I'm going to stay the same. Dan, I love what you're sharing. Breakthrough 3X, love what you're sharing, but I'm going to keep doing me. I'm going to keep doing it the way I've been doing it, right? And I'm going to stay the same. And here's what to realize on the road to Hana here as you look at this, right? Is right now you've got a choice in time to be able to tap into something where if you are empowered by the systems that we're sharing with you and the difference that they can make, and we're just scratching the surface and you want to go deeper with it. Imagine if we put the systems and then on top of that, we have a whole series of tools and templates that we make available for our clients. You get access to the people that are high level performers in marketing to do it and execute and implement. And you get access to the people and you get access to the tools. And I'm just going to draw an image of a shovel here to represent tools. Very ugly drawing. All geared to keep you closer to the road to Hana, the road to paradise. Or you can go a different path and you can choose to go at it on your own. And my question to you is, how's that working so far? Because if what we've been doing has gotten us to where we're at, and we're at a 3.59 rating or 5 or under or 7 or under in marketing, is it best to stay the same or is it time to make a shift? And there's no better time than right now because you're as close to the road to Hana of awesome, of paradise that you can be to start this journey. And sometimes people have a tendency to go, well, Dan, I'll look at getting started in like 3 years. Or I'll get started in 1 year when the time is right, or I'll get started in 3 months or 60 days. I coach a bunch of young athletes, and one of the things we say is, when is now the best time to make that shift? And I encourage you to look at yourself and go, when is now the best time to make that shift? Whether it's with us or whether it's with someone else, right? All I know is over here is your bigger future. The bigger future that you've been ideally tapping into, tuning into, tapping in, tuning in. There is magic inside of you. And maybe you've been derailed a little bit. Maybe you've hit some obstacles. Everybody does. You're going to have some things along the road in the road to Hana. It's going to be a winding road. But when you have a guide by your side, there's no limit to what you can achieve. And I'd like to invite you, however you decide to go forward, to go forward. Because essentially you got one of 3 roads. One, you can go at it on your own. And I believe with what we've shown you already, and we're going to show you more, that you can go on your own and be immensely successful. On the other hand, you can have a guide. And my question to you would be, type yes in the chat, first of all, if this presentation so far has been valuable to you. Can you type yes or no in the chat? I'd just love to get some feedback. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, guys. How about for you, Vanya? How about for you, Wendy? How about for you, Rick? How about for you, Paula? Nelson, thank you. Yep. Alex, yes. Abigail, yes. I love how you guys are playing full on. Thank you. Appreciate it. Now, I'd like you to imagine for a second, like, what would it mean for you if you were able to get to your paradise, whatever that means in your business? In other words, a business that runs without you. It had a marketing system bringing you consistently. You had a growth plan that was predictable. You were more like the chairman of your business instead of having to operate in it. You had consistent sales every day. You had consistent leads every day. You had the ability to scale and optimize, and your business was fun because you were doing the things you love in the business, not wearing 9 hats, right? Imagine what that would be like, your road to Hana. And the difference between, low value painting at $300 suddenly with something as simple as this that sold for 6.2 million. Why not you? And why not now? All it takes is being able to take those first steps, right? And what would it be worth to you? What would it be worth for you? How would it pivot the game for you? Right? I mean, which of these options do you think you're going to first use in getting started? And then what's the next option? And what's the next option? And at this point, you might be excited, but you might be in a situation where you're like, oh, I've tried other stuff before. It hasn't worked for me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so what I want to do is our team wants to eliminate the risk for you 100%. And this is something you want to think about. How do you do this for your clients? But we have a better than money back guarantee in how we work with our clients. No one in our space has ever done that before. Now, we'll get you the details when we talk. But what do you feel you need? Because this is not a one size fits all. It's a custom plan for you. What do you need for success and mastery? What are the components? Do you need help with your data management, your CRM, right? Do you need help with your implementation and execution? Type it in the chat window, right? Do you need access to a community? In other words, like the mastermind effect. Do you need extra mentoring? Someone that's built, 10-figure companies, worked with companies that have done hundreds of millions. Do you need peer support? Do you need accountability? Do you need exposure? Do you need to work on the mental game? Do you need to work on building out your education event model so it's more scalable and predictable without you? What are the elements you need? All of the above, David, that's honest, right? Now, whatever that is for you, again, this is not a one size fits all. It's custom to you. So what if my team and us helped you implement and get what we're talking about in place? Would you be open to that? Would you want to do that? If you want to find out how we can help you move faster and implement, type yes in the chat window. I just want to see, I've got your permission to be able to share with you like what we can make available. And I'm going to keep it very simple and very short before we get to the next segment. Because guess what? We can. We can. And I'm going to show you how. But first, what if I told you it won't cost you a dime actually take the first step and get started? It's true. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, we're going to help you in our process, avoid the mistakes, see the blind spots, get unstuck, eliminate your tech headaches in this. I want to get you on the phone with us and our team to discuss exactly where you're at right now, where you want to go, and then show you how to implement this framework for you, custom to your business, in place, starting as soon as we talk. And do this absolutely free for you as well. Now, why would I do this? I'm looking for a perfect fit to be our next big success story in what we're doing. We need to know if we're a good match, and that's really critical. If we're not aligned, it makes no sense for us to work together, does it? If we are aligned and we have consistency in values, we are in a place where we appreciate what both of it, and there's opportunity there, right? If you're looking for us to do 100% of the work, well, we're not a fit. We come in and work with our clients as a 50-50 strategic partner and co-pilot, working side by side, right? So we need to identify with that kind of investment if we're a good fit, a good match. And if we are, you'll get a chance to move forward with it. And if not, it's not a good fit, we'll either refer you to someone who is, or you can take the plan that we put together for you, custom to you. And the first step to be able to do that is to go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. That's breakthrough3x.com/apply. And if you hate the tech like Dave, we got you. You can have our tech team just manage it, run it, build it, grow it for you, right? Maybe you're like Joe, who had some of the elements many of you are bringing up, and we worked with Joe, and I'll get more into that, the specifics of that here in a little bit. But Joe says, Dan will help you grow your business. The methods Dan shares can help you create irresistible offers, work with clients you love, and grow. And we've got proof because we did it for Joe. Eric Roman. Eric is someone, he teaches in the dental practice. He didn't have a steady flow of leads and appointments. Sales were mostly relying on him, and he was relying on referrals and word of mouth. And we worked with Eric, and in the course of less than 90 days, they actually got too much revenue. They had to take a pause because we helped them get over $300,000 in recurring revenue. They didn't have enough to be able to support it all. So it was like the wheels came off. Or Anna, with her company SugarX Global, big mission to shift the conversation about addiction. Her challenges were related to going in the wrong direction with their marketing. The message was off. Facebook ads and advertising was a nightmare, wasting time. And we helped them get their perfect message, get authority, using the methods we're talking about, maximize their branding, enrollments, and profits. And they got 1,100 registrations in less than 90 days, made 90 grand from a challenge they ran in 90 days, and it changed their life. And they expect to be able to develop a high profit, high growth 5-day challenge bi-monthly moving in their business. So if you'd like to learn how we could put some of this, whether you're new, you're one of the unsung heroes, or you're a big name, or anywhere in between, have worked with all types. Go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. And again, we'll show you, Dave, I think mentioned it, or Nelson did, how to take the tech off your plate so you don't have to be stressed about it anymore. We have a variety of team members to make available for you and with you as we work in complementing what you do to make a bigger difference. So if you want to learn more about how to do that, go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. We're going to open this up to Q&A. If you have a question, you want to type it in the chat window. I know we had a few questions that came in here, and I'm going to address a couple of them as we go. So if you have a question, type it in, and Phil, you can cherry pick the questions and read them off to me as well. And I'll leave this slide up on the screen, overall. One of the questions I thought was kind of funny. I'm just going to call the elephant out in the room. Someone said, if you're so confident, why don't you just let me do this for free and then I'll pay after I make money with you? And I appreciate that. And here's what I know is, one, you get what you pay for. And I make no apologies that we're reassuringly expensive. That's just the truth. And ideally, when you can shift to be that comfortable and confident in the outcome you create, or the breakthrough, we call it the boat, the breakthrough, the outcome, the transformation experience, and what you've got delivers and is valuable to anybody that you feel is a right fit that you can help. And in your heart you can help it, then you're obligated, right? And so the other thing too is, I believe the most expensive things usually are free. The most expensive things are free. And here's also a relation to that. When you think of free things, there's so much information that's free. And it's everywhere, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Basically, AI, Google, the library are all composites of free information. And if information or free information were the key to success, librarians would probably be the wealthiest people on the planet, wouldn't they? So I encourage you to move beyond that and move to a place where, one, what would it be worth for you to be able to position yourself in a premium place? And two, wouldn't you want to be a mirror for your clients that you're able to tell you, like the reason I can comfortably and confidently, our highest value clients have paid us between high six figures and $1 million. And I say that with humility because it took a graduation of skill sets and capabilities. But here's the truth. I've invested over $1 million myself, mostly so you don't have to. And if you'd like to tap into that for a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, then we got you. We got something here for you. And you get to test it and try it for the next 8 weeks. And again, why are we doing it? Because ideally in our 8 weeks, we have such a good run together that we want to carry it. You want to carry it forward, but you'll have the ultimate decision to decide that. And that's the beauty of it. Phil, any other question? I know I got a couple other ones that had popped in beforehand that I've got here.
Yeah, I don't see any in the chat, but one did come in privately, Dan. Why did you decide to put together this incubator program?
Yeah, I think I've covered in one way or another, Phil, but the incubator program is really geared to meet clients where they're at. And with the economy the way it is, the political situation going on in the world right now, the way it is, I felt it would be worth a test to help reach out to people where we see what's going on in advertising. People's advertising costs per lead, per appointment, per sale is just skyrocketed. The algorithms have gotten completely disjointed. So a lot of people are, uncertain, they're fearful, they're not confident. Said, well, what would be a way that we could help give people a system and work with them as a co-pilot to reinstall that confidence and get them back on track? And meet them if they're a small business, a medium business, or even a larger business, as long as, Phil, as you know, that they're aligned with us and they're growth minded only. Like if someone, by the way, I'll share this also, and this isn't directly related to your question, but I'm thinking of it as I'm saying it. If you're thinking about quitting before you get started, and that would be the only reason to get started because of our guarantee, then don't get started, right? In fact, I'm going to tie this in with a question that did come in. Why should I work with you? Well, I'm not sure that you should. I don't know. I don't know that you should. I don't know you. I don't know your background. I don't know your work ethic. I don't know your skills. I don't know if you're a good business person, you're not. That's part of the reason you get started. You put on your refundable deposit. We back up what we do. We have a conversation, make sure we're aligned. And oh, by the way, Phil will tell you it's true. We typically, for every 10 clients we will work with and have historically, even with our higher level clients, the bigger companies, about 1 out of 20, we end up firing within 90 days because they're not aligned. And I don't say that as a scare tactic. I just say that for us, for me, at this stage of my business, I don't need to do this anymore. I get to do it because I want to do it. I love building people. I love building company. I love building things. And I do want it to be profitable, and it will be profitable always. That's the responsibility of the business, in my opinion. I know other people have different views depending on what political system they follow. However, at the end of the day, if you're thinking about quitting before you start, then don't start. And chances are you've already quit about 9 other things before. And so I don't want you to repeat that habit here. And we'll smell that out in the first few weeks if that is the case. So I don't know if this is for somebody fully until we take a test drive, which is why we've set it up this way, Phil. So anyway, that was a long drawn out diatribe on that, but hopefully that answers the question. Anything, any other distinction you think would be helpful on that? Or
I think that was great. Thank you, Dan.
all right. Yeah, I had another question that had come in. They said something like this: "Hey, Dan, it's a little bit broken here, so I'm just doing my best to pull it together. I'm really tight on money. That's what I'm interpreting here. I'm really tight on money. Things haven't gone my way. Yeah. I mean, that is pretty much my first 10 years of business, and yet." Successful people find a way when others don't. You can tell the size of the person by the obstacle it takes to knock them off track. And so while I can appreciate it, money is just energy at the end of the day. And if right now you've hit a plateau, like a lot of people do, including I have in my life, you hit a plateau. Well, what has to happen for you to break through that plateau? Is it retreating or moving forward? Most of the successful things I've ever done have been as a result of going through, around, over, under, jump, a couple different points around these obstacles. Money being one of them, money being energy. If we can't get through an obstacle, in this case, like, what is equivalent to, 1,900 a month is less than $63 a day. If you can't get through the barrier of $63 a day to grow your business with something that you would want to, you got much bigger issues. Much, much bigger issues. And it's going to be a hard run for you to be able to grow to that next level, that especially if you want to get to 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, at least this is the lessons I've learned. It may not be true for you, but at least that's been my experience. And so I feel your pain if that's the case. And the question I'd have is, how long has $63 a day been an issue? And then the other question would be, how long do you want it to continue to be an issue? Because if you keep doing what you've been doing, how long has it been this way? Has it been a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years? On the other hand, it might be challenging. And I have found personally that all money actually replenishes itself. That more valuable than actually money at this stage of life, my experience has been time is more precious. Part of the reason I sold the 2 companies, as you know, Phil, is because I wanted to be present as a dad. And it gave me a gift to be able to do that when my kids were 2 and 4, to be able to sell those companies and then be able to go to their games and be fully present as a dad for a couple. And I got bored and I started a smaller thing, but I built it around what I wanted, to spend time with them, to coach, to do all these other things and grow it and evolve it from deciding, what do I want? What do I not want? And the question I'd ask, if money is tight, how long has it been that way? Well, if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're probably going to get the same result. When do you want it to make a shift? With this type of opportunity, what's the worst that could happen? On the other hand, what's the best that could happen? You get started. We back it up with our 25X guarantee. We give you the tools. We work with you one-to-one for up to 8 weeks. Ideally, we even move forward and work with you side by side for a couple years to come and help you build something big, something meaningful. And on top of that, again, I can only speak on my behalf with my kids, but, what's the cost of running around, building a business when you can't be with your wife or your spouse or your kids or your grandkids, or give yourself 60 minutes a day for health, or because things are that tight, we might not be eating that great either. And so we're sacrificing on health, sacrificing on quality of foods. So when would now be the best time to be able to make the shift? And whether it's us or somebody, I'd encourage you to find somebody. And if this connects or resonates with you, that I'd encourage you to move forward with us, right? And, money will replenish, usually does, but time doesn't. And because, I couldn't help but think, like, if I was going to miss my daughter's volleyball game, I was never going to get that time to look her in the eye again and say, I am going to be able to go back to that volleyball game. And so how long do you want it to be that way? Let's make the shift. For as little as $63 a day with a 25X guarantee, we've got an ability to help you. So if you take the chance, we'll take the chance too. There you go. If you have a question, type it in. Another question that I had come in, Phil, was related to, Dan, I've been following you for a decade, and they kind of seen the journey of all these crazy clients we've worked with who are pretty significant names, and they're like, in their own, and I'm not going to mention your name. I know you sent this in privately, but I think I want to just call it out, Phil, is, I'm not them, so to speak. That's the short paraphrase version. And here's the truth. I'm nothing special. I'm just a kid. I was socially awkward. I was a geek in school. I didn't fit in. I was a black sheep. I went in high school. The only thing I felt comfortable was either in the gym or on a baseball field or on the football field. That was it. In classrooms with people, I was so out of my league. I felt so out of place that for years I thought something was wrong with me. And I don't know if you can relate to that. I also was not brought up on the right side of the track, so to speak. And, as my wife regularly says, and I'm sure some of you have heard some type of quote like this, which is, you can take the kid out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the kid. And, I'm a street kid that just through resilience and some luck, I've been lucky, guys. I've been lucky. That's the truth. I've been fortunate. And I've created opportunities, and I've seized those opportunities. Most of you will probably not be in situations like I was, where I had lost everything and then some. I remember being in a situation where I had a choice to go to a training. And I met somebody, and part of the reason we do the guarantee this way is because a person I met who had no reason to do it, who I didn't know, did it for me. I had a chance to go to a training about 25 years ago, and it was a training program, and I said, well, I can't afford it. And he said, well, if you can't afford it, you can't afford not to. His name was Carl. And he said, how old are you? At the time, I was 26 years old. And he said, well, how long you been working, kid? I said, well, I've been working since I was about 12. He goes, 12, 26, you've been working 14 years and you can't afford equivalent to, what we're kind of talking about today, which I would call the $63 a day. He goes, if you can't afford that, you can't afford not to. He said, he looked me in the eye and he goes, hey, if I guarantee you that we could help you increase your income by 6 figures with what you will learn through this training, would you do it? And I thought about it and I said, well, I would, but I still don't have the money. He said, well, if you had a surgery you needed that was life and death, would you find a way? I said, well, you bet you would. He said, well, it seems like after 14 years, you work hard. Yeah. You work full time. Yeah. He goes, it seems like you need surgery, kid. And he cared enough about me to call me out. And I'm so thankful because I know there's people in their 40s who haven't been called out like that. 50-year-olds that haven't been called out, like 60-year-olds that haven't been called out. I got called out at that when I was 26, and thank goodness I did. And I met a pro, and I took him up on the guarantee, and I went. And it was the best decision I ever made because it was a catalyst to everything that has happened since. My mistakes, failures along the way since, along with some big wins, and helping a lot of clients, maybe like you, who just need someone who knows how to do this, who has a system, who can help, and will be willing to get in the trenches with you one-to-one the way we do to help you grow. And if this connects to you, I encourage you to move forward, right? And if it doesn't, then I hope today has been valuable for you, insightful for you. We've got plenty of free stuff available, over 400 hours of training on all kinds of the social media sites that you can go have a field day in. But if you want the one-to-one accountability, you want the personal access, you want our implementation and execution team, you want our tech team, you want our marketing team, you want our copy team, you want access to these pieces that can help you grow, we got it. You just need to cross the line and go, hey, I'm in. And if you're in, you're in. We'll have that conversation. We'll get started. And I know what's in store for you in 8 weeks. I know ideally what's going to be in store for you in 6 months, a year, 2 years from now. I'm not saying you're going to do like many of the clients we've shared today that have sold their businesses. But if it happened for them, why couldn't it happen for you? Why couldn't it happen for you? And as we close today, I'm going to read you from my book, The CEO and Founder's Anthem. You're the creator, the explorer, the adventurer, the dreamer, the innovator, the geek, the grunt, the achiever, the black sheep, the pioneer at heart. You're a servant leader, a warrior, a conqueror, the rugged individualist, the cowboy, the patriot, the protector, the trailblazer, the thrill seeker, the bull in the china shop. You're a steward of life, liberty, and the pursuit of progress and innovation. You build, grow, and stretch the status quo. You live to make a difference, add value, and contribute. You're the founder, CEO, entrepreneur, creator, and champion. And today, we raise our glass to you. Cheers. Seize the day. If you have questions, Phil, stay on for a few minutes. If you have other questions, you can talk to Phil about moving forward, whether it's us or someone else. I hope you can find someone that cares as much about your success as I know our entire team from Abigail and Phil and the other 40 to 50 people on our team do. And it'd be our pleasure to help you get that next breakthrough and show you what it's like to get true freedom, to build a business that's self-managed, and to also have something that allows you to be present for yourself, your family, your health, your kids, and your relationships. God bless. Thanks.